you're listening or watching The Royal Rants, the podcast that's still looking for its first listener.
We're going to get it.
I'm
I tell
Ryan.
you.
I'm joined as always by my
It's
brother.
me too.
Wow. So last time we did an episode, things have happened. I've been sick for weeks. But I think I'm finally getting out of it.
I was on a bourbon bender for a couple of
Bourbon
weeks.
bender. I would have rather
and
been
I'm
on a
fine.
bourbon bender than having whatever this is, but the last episode we did, it was kind of like the Panarin, the Breadman trade chatter was heating up, and people seem to think maybe him going to LA wasn't so crazy. Although at the time we did it, and then as it turns out, it wasn't crazy. And what is crazy is apparently he said he only wanted to go to LA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he
Also,
thinks about that right now, but at the time.
and it also sounds like he gave up an extra $20 to $30 million not to play in Seattle to come to LA. And like,
Man,
is
I
that not
understand that.
is that not suspicious to you though? Like, I mean, I guess if you're already a rich dude, and I don't know, I'm just kind of like, that's weird.
I know, but to go from like the New York media market to like Seattle,
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
yeah, that would be just like. I mean,
This is
I guess if he wanted to just be in complete anonymity, he could walk around Seattle all day long. Nobody would know who he was. I don't even think people on
that's
this
true.
know who the Kraken are.
Probably not. At least, well, outside of Kings fans won't recognize him in LA. He can just do whatever he wants to do. But this is what I think happened. I think he was talking to Gavrikov in the locker room. He's like, "Hey, why'd you leave LA?" And he's like, "Man, the coach is awful. The team, nobody's held accountable. Those guys just party all the time and hang out at the beach and play volleyball. Like, they're not serious about winning." And he was like, "Oh, okay. I will only go to LA." Like, got on the phone right away. It was like, don't you think that's what happened?
I mean, yeah, it does seem because all this time people have been talking about how no one wants to play in LA, right? And every time they try to catch a big fish, they always end up somewhere else. So it seems kind of surprising that this guy was like, "No, this is where I wanted to go, man. This is good." And he left money on the table and years of contract. It just seems crazy. I don't know if maybe the East
Yeah,
Coast was after him and he needed to come out west.
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe that was it.
But you know what?
Yeah,
We'll take it.
yeah.
So when that happened, it was like, hey, cool. And so when I knew that this season was gonna be even worse than it was back then, they played 2 games after the trade. And they played 2 of the worst games of the season. And I thought, well, before those games started, I thought, well, even though Panarin's not gonna be on the ice, just the fact organization made this move saying like, hey, we're in it to make the playoffs and make a run here, that they were going to get a spark out of that. And then
Yeah,
when they just
exactly.
came out and lost both of those, and then people were saying, well, it's kind of, and then there's a Olympic break. And I'm like, no, something's wrong. Because normally when a big piece comes in a trade like that, it seems like normally that gives teams a boost. And they go
Yeah,
on a
no,
run.
it always does. So, what did you make of that? Like, why do you think that it seemed like it sucked the life out, what little life they had left? It seemed like it sucked it right out of them. And I'm like,
I
what
don't
is it? Were they all like, oh, we're all gonna get traded? Were they like, I think maybe it was, oh man, I don't want to be playing hockey in June. Like, I don't want to make the playoffs. That's what I think it was. They're just like, man,
They're
come
like,
on, I
oh,
already
check
have my
out what's his name. He wants to make the playoffs. Come on.
I know I already have
Dog,
my
this is gonna be
vacation
all up
planned.
yapping at us so we actually play some hockey and win some games. I don't need that right now.
Exactly. I already
I'm
got my
already
tea
planning
time
some
booked.
golf trips. I got some surfing trips in Costa Rica lined up. I don't want to play playoffs.
But no,
Yeah, I
I
just
totally agree. When they came
but
out and were so bad, I was just like, wow, they really
that really blew me away because even with
me
this team
too.
been bad all year, I thought they're gonna be juiced about this trade.
And
Nope.
also two Pacific teams they're chasing down and just
Yeah, big games too, right? Like,
Mhm.
and at the time, people kind of wrote it off as like, why are you writing these games off? We're getting down to, and I think I even tweeted a thing about how, like, I forget what the date was. It's like February, whatever. Is that too early to talk about must wins? But honestly, it's not, right? Olympic break. Okay, so then, Fiala's leg gets shattered in a weird play with Tom Wilson. At the time, it didn't look like that big of a deal, and then you realize, oh, that he just fell on him awkwardly, and
yeah, especially when they're moving him out on his stomach and stuff. It's like, eesh.
when he just stayed on his stomach and didn't, you just be like, oh, this is really bad. Because
Mhm.
even like maybe with a ligament sprain or something, guys can maybe get up on one skate and be helped off the ice. You know, skate off on one skate, being helped off the ice, and when that didn't happen, you're like, uh oh. So I thought, oh, he must have broken something, and sure enough, basically that's kind of your nightmare scenario when they have. It's great having the NHL guys in the Olympics. I really enjoyed watching that. It's
No,
a
it was
whole
really cool.
level, but that can always happen. You don't think it's going to happen to guys on your team, but
Yeah. I know I text you jokingly, but I'm like, okay, they need to start playing the Winter Olympics in the summertime after the NHL season's over. Then they can have, I mean, I don't know if is there a rule you have to hold the
I don't think
Olympics,
so.
the
Well,
Winter
I
Olympics
mean,
in there?
when it's summer somewhere, it's winter somewhere. Like,
Exactly, right?
I don't get me started. It's probably a conspiracy, but there's something about hemispheres and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Australia
you
right
could
now.
probably find winter somewhere during the
Hmm.
summer. That was the whole premise of what was the name of that movie? Endless Summer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's
Hmm.
kind of embarrassing it took me that long to pull that. We were just talking about a summer that never ends. We could have a winter that never ends. Thanks to hemisphere and travel, you can just spend the whole year in the summer if you want. Yeah, it was. So that was a bummer. Bummer for Team Switzerland because
Yeah.
they had a good team.
Hmm.
I
They were
liked
fun to
watching
watch.
them. Um, it kind of made me think, boy, I wish Roman Yossi would have been a king all these years.
That would have been cool.
He's just a stud. He still is, even though he's getting up there. Still a stud, man. He can still just take the puck and find his own net, and suddenly, before you realize that, he's standing in front of your net, shooting on your goalie. I like movies like that. You don't really see a
Yeah.
lot of that from like Dumoulin and CC.
No.
You see them flailing around their own net and then accidentally maybe putting the
Falling
puck
over and
on goal on their own goalie and stuff like that.
yeah.
I mean, that's also exciting in its own way, you know?
That's very true. That's heart stopping.
Oh my God. Um, so, then coming out of the Olympics, okay, then you're like, okay, those two games were huge. Vegas and Edmonton. I mean, even in normal times, you might have those penciled in as like, oh, those are probably going to be huge games, late November games against these guys, or
Mhm.
late February, sorry. And then to have them play like that, just appalling.
No, awful, awful. Yeah,
I mean,
I
I think the Oilers could have probably scored 12 goals. They just kind of let off. It was almost like a mercy situation. Like, okay, it's fine.
yeah, no, I agree. They could have put up double digits, I think, and they just kind of like
Unbelievable. And so
it's
then you're like, and yeah, and I thought, oh, they're gonna fire Hiller now, right? And then they didn't for a while, and I will probably never get the real story behind that. I guess Holland kind of made up his mind, but then waited because they had that game that was like against Calgary around like five. I don't.
yeah. He said like yeah. I don't. It was more like so there wasn't they didn't have practice before the game on Saturdays, so he waited till after then. Yeah. So, but yeah, those like the Vegas game, like. man, even though, Byfield, he had 2 goals, but he looked so bad. He was just getting knocked. Those last 2 goals were just on him. Like, he was just getting knocked off the puck. He couldn't clear it again. That Luzon guy was just in his ass like all night. And I was just like, man. And then the Edmonton game, like, I don't know. It just that team is, the Kings are just void of leadership. It's like I watched the whole thing just because I wanted to see if anybody was going to do anything, if there'd be any sort of fight back. And I know like Kopitar is not like a dirty player or anything, but he should have just ran McDavid into the boards. He's like one of the biggest dudes on the ice, and these guys were just taking it. This is a team that has owned you for the last 4 seasons, and you're just gonna let them house you like that? It was disgraceful. There's like no leadership. As good as a player he's been, like when he does not step up. Dowdy left early, but same thing. Like go line up your best friend McDavid. Like
I
or
know. And
Drysdale.
it's not like an isolated thing. This has happened other times during the season, like when Kemper got hit by Rantanen, and then he
Yeah,
also got roughed up by forget who it was. I think it was against Tampa. And just I don't yeah, there's just
yeah.
no I don't know what's gonna change. I don't even
Maybe the
like I mean, what do you think's the best scenario? Them missing the playoffs or somehow by some miracle getting in?
I I mean it would be a real miracle if they got in, but I don't. Well, that's the thing. It's like Killer's already gone, right? So that was a huge thing. He never should have been brought back. And that's the thing too. I felt bad for him that Edmonton game. The crowd shit. Like that's ownership and management's fault to let it get that bad. He never should have been brought back after last season. And he could have made a case for himself. Like, look, I got these guys 105 points. That's a record for them. Most home wins. That's a record for them. They just choke against the Oilers. They always do, and he probably could have got himself another head coaching job. But I don't know why they stuck with them. It seemed even back then like the team was, some of those player interviews, I don't know. It just seemed like they already lost faith in them. You have to know trying to get out. Gavrikov left. Like, and that's the thing too. I was thinking like, I mean, they should have got rid of him back in December, like you tweeted today. It's like,
Well, I
you
mean,
know,
that would have been a spot, and they've done that in the past, is kind of when they made moves on seasons. Now it's
mhm.
like it seems it's just too late. But yeah, to your point about letting, Hiller seems like a good guy. Letting him have to hear that and go out that way is pretty bad. I think it speaks to the fact that that organization is in such a bubble
And
that they don't
delusional. Yeah,
understand that the fans have been fed up, not just this season, going back to last season, you
yeah,
know, and they just
hmm
write, "Oh, that's King's Twitter," and it's like, no, it's not.
no, yeah.
People are laying down lots of money to walk into crypto to support that team. And somebody needs to have their nose to the ground and figure out what people actually are thinking.
You think they would have somebody who would do that, but yeah, you're exactly right. Because I mean, I was like, you know what? I mean, I can't watch this team anymore. If this is what they're going to show up at home and just embarrass themselves, I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to cancel my FanDuel. Like this is ridiculous. Like why would I
Well,
waste
I'm
time
sure you're
and
not the only
whatnot?
one who's done that or thinking about it.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know. I was thinking about Blake too, and now Robitaille. These guys coming back into these GM jobs who are like Kings legends, dude. They don't leave with like their name with the same
No, I
I don't know
mean,
fondness people had for him.
they're tarnished. It
Yeah,
really, I mean, it's going to take a long time to rehabilitate.
yeah.
And, Rob Blake's like the greatest defense in that franchise ever had.
And I was thinking too because someone mentioned it today earlier. It's like before Holland even took the job, you know, Robitaille was like, "Oh yeah, we're riding with Hiller, or he's our coach." So maybe he felt like he couldn't can him, and that's the other thing too. I wonder if Kopitar or Dowdy could have just talked to him Holland and been like, look, the team's like, no one has faith in them. And, like and GJ Smith said that, like, that series lost and just like permeated throughout this season. It's like, yeah, I don't know why that's so hard not to see. It was pretty goddamn obvious this whole season. So I don't
Yeah,
know why, or maybe
and
they did. Because it seemed like Deneau tried to do that to be like, hey, like this isn't working.
that's also a huge sign of like a team that's not functioning. A guy he's got term left on his contract and not really a guy I don't think who had a rep for being kind of like a prima donna or anything or a diva and just asking out.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been a
Same
big red flag. Like, well, what's that all about? You know?
same thing with Gavrikov, a guy who's like leading the celebrations in the locker room, who's always really like seemed positive and stuff, and he's just like, I'm not resigning here.
Turns out he was just
Well,
calling his agent the whole time, going, "Get me out of here."
help, help me.
People thought it was a goal celly, but no, he was just calling his agent, like, "So where are we at with am I out of here yet?" I mean, God, there's just so many things, and like, I just don't. I think they finally realized like the dam is broken. That kind of mojo that they're running out of that front office, where like everything's fine, we're right there. Um,
Ridiculous.
nobody's buying that.
No, nobody.
Nobody. New fans, longtime fans, casual fans. It's a huge problem. I don't know what's going to happen. Probably what should happen is that AEG should just completely clean house.
Absolutely.
Scouting, I mean, every department, you know, and really look at like how to bring a winning culture, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know if those bean counters at AEG can do that. If it's got, I kind of wish they would sell the team to a
I wish
group
they would too.
wants to win, like Magic Johnson level of like, come on, get us in there. We'll fix the Kings because
No, that would be awesome.
we're winners. It doesn't even have to be somebody from a hockey culture, just like a winner's culture of knowing how to like make a winning organization, organization of winners.
Yeah, because like you mentioned earlier, I feel if they do make the playoffs, then maybe they will just be like, oh no, we're
That would
we're
be the
staying the
worst thing.
course.
'Cause they'll
Yeah.
pat somebody. They shouldn't. They'll pat themselves on the back for this.
Hmm.
They're already setting it up for it because they're like, well, they did the same thing with Hiller and last time. It sounds like they've asked DJ Smith, well, just get us in the playoffs. You know that same BS.
Yeah. It seems to never work when they just hire the assistant coach. It never,
And it's
never
okay because
works.
it's an interim thing, and as long as you make it clear that no, we're gonna have a real search. It's not gonna be like I'm gonna call up an old buddy from when I was in Detroit or whatever. A real search looking for the best person who wants the job, who's a winner, and not stopping there. Like really kicking the tires, lifting up the rugs, sweeping, and finding, every way that they need to change to make that, to turn that team into a winner. And they just whiffed on so many things. Like, I forget if it was like 2017 or 2018. It kind of sounded like Blake approached like Kopitar and Dowdy and I guess even Quick at the time and was like, would you guys be cool with like, kind of a rebuildish kind of thing? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
And then he just was like, all right, I'll just go ahead and close
Well,
the door on my way out, you know? And so that was a huge whiff because, um, honestly, like probably a winning GM is like, well, my horses are old. They're getting old. Let me see if I can trade one of these guys and get something back.
hmm
Younger horse, possibility of some younger horses. But that whole buddy thing was like, no, man, keep the core together. They can do it. They got another run. And here it is like 12 years later. The narrator voices in and there was no run. They never went on a run.
not even close.
The Dowdy Kopitar Quick trio, they didn't that last run is still 2014 with some years of missing the playoffs. And obviously this is all, hindsight being 2020 and stuff, but there have just been so many levels of whiffs. It's not just like, why is everybody so mean to us now? It's like you guys have screwed this up on several different occasions with this whole like, we'll just run it back. We've got the pieces. Like, no, you don't. You didn't. You don't now. And it doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean like getting Panarin wasn't cool, because the terms of that deal are great. He's
Yeah, I
actually,
mean,
and I think he's like, I think he's a legit, point of game player.
mm-hmm,
First guy on the Kings roster since like Ziggy Palffy to be able to
mm-hmm,
say that he's an over point per game player. And so that's fine, and maybe it'll add a little, just maybe seeing him do something play out this season will be kind of nice for the fans if he actually, can start scoring some goals and stuff.
yeah,
But, you know, I think it'd probably be better for them to just miss out in the playoffs and just sit with that. Just like, yeah, you're not a playoff team. Now what are you going to do? Are you don't come
they
back and
don't.
say we're going to run, we're going to keep running, we're going to no.
I was thinking about this morning too. It's like, I mean, deserved like in sports is a weird thing, but do they really deserve to be in the playoffs? Like if somehow they manage to get in there, I mean, a team that the team that has 9 home wins out of an 84 game season at this point, right? So let's see. Imagine if they get, I don't know, let's say they get like 4 more, right? But and that'd be generous because that's like almost half what they have now. It's like that. I mean, what kind of
Oh,
league is
because
that
if they
to
were in the
make the
Eastern
playoffs?
Conference, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There would be like bottom dwellers in the East, and they'd be way out of a playoff spot, nowhere. And don't get me wrong, they're not making the playoffs. I know you're going to hear people, say, well, look, they're only 3 points out. It's like, no. Anybody listening to this podcast know that they will have to go on an unbelievable run of regulation wins, right, to even get back in the mix with teams that they could eventually tie with, right? Now, if they
Yeah,
somehow finish just better in points, then yeah, they'll make it in, right? But if there's a tie situation, no way. They're
and that's
just
the thing.
lucky that the Pacific is so weak. Like, it doesn't seem like
That's the thing. Yeah,
Edmonton or Vegas really feel like playing hockey. They play a decent game every other night or so.
yeah they should just look good when they play us, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but it's true because yeah, they Edmonton doesn't look like Edmonton from last season or the season before. That's for sure.
And
But
before, and even not so, just before they got whacked those last two games. I mean, they're talking about, well, and I don't remember where the quote came from, but it was something was going around about how Holland was like, we're going all in for Kopi's last season, and that just I just cried out in terror when I heard that, because like, what does that mean?
I don't
You're
know
gonna
either.
make even you're gonna make some stupid trades to like compound this. I thought, oh, you're gonna like are you gonna trade Clark or do something completely stupid?
He's the only valuable trading piece they have. So
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
like,
but
what did you even get for Byfield? I mean, I
not
think
much now.
just like that bling he wears, he just wears this huge thing that says like underachiever. And I think the whole league knows that. So they're
Hmm.
not I mean, I guess maybe if you could find a sucker out there that still gets enticed by his speed and size, which is, exceptional speed and size. But I think, the ship sailed on that. Maybe you could have done it a year or two ago
Yeah,
and maybe gotten like a big return. But like, what would you get now? The dude is like, at his best, he'll score 20 goals and maybe have 60 points, which is
yeah,
okay. Not for a
yeah.
second round, not for a second overall pick, or not with the hopes that the organization put on this kid.
Yeah, and like to your point about them, going on it's like going on this run and making the playoffs. It's like they couldn't get a run going, a streak of games with Fiala and Kuzmenko. They don't have them anymore. Doughty's like, I don't know if he's just sick or he's out. You know, Armia had to get like an MRI today. Like, those are huge pieces. They're not going to be able just. I know they called up. It's like a Connors. It might be cool to see him play. So I
Yeah,
mean
so I
they're not.
mean, look at you think about what they're talking about, and then you look at like reality. It's like, okay,
Where where you
you
have
had a
like
weak team in the first place. Your team is even weaker now because of all the injuries, and somehow, like it just, God,
and, and now a quarter of your team is the Ontario Reign. It's like, oh yeah, now you're gonna go on a run. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it just is so. I mean, you can only laugh about it, but only the Kings just kind of do this kind of stuff, and then it's finally broken. But all the times you get like the know-it-all Kings media guy who's like, you know, holier than thou, scolding the fans, and you know what I'm talking about, and people out
Mhm.
there, I'm sure know what I'm talking. Like, and now even those guys are like, oh boy, this team stinks. It's like, oh, now you've come around after scolding everybody who's been watching this team for the last how many years, and now you got the courage to be like, oh, this team stinks. Unbelievable. That media
Yeah,
room. That's another thing too. It's like, do something about that.
yeah, nothing but softball questions and yeah.
Oh, yikes. It's just woo. It's rough and it's gonna get worse. I'd like to put a positive spin on it. And you know why I say that? Because in about half hour they're gonna start being pummeled by the Colorado Avalanche.
It's fitting they're playing the Avalanche because I foresee an avalanche of goals against the Kings.
Ah, run for your lives.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
man.
it's gonna be brutal. I mean,
After
but you know what?
McKinnon's first and oh, you know what's also cool? A pissed off McKinnon who's still pissed off about winning the silver.
Oh yeah,
He's just gonna he's just gonna throttle us, man. He'll probably have a hat in the first period.
he's just gonna go off for sure. That's let's see what how this team responds. I mean, I'm not. They're not. Listen, I just want to see if there is some fight with this
A
team, and
pulse or
you
something.
know,
No, but I
you
mean
know,
honestly, when I watch I don't expect them to win games, which is
no,
not normal. It's not
no,
normal for a team that supposedly was right there to just turn it on and be like, well, I don't expect them to win this game. And then you're finding stuff to watch. Like, well, let's see. I like to watch Clark, let's see. Or I want to see, or I like when, Sammy Hellenius and that line gets cooking sometimes and checks
yeah,
some
they're,
people. Just
mhm.
or I'm thinking, oh, when is Kopitar going to limp across the finish line and finally take the scoring record, franchise record? Which I got to be honest, I don't care about at all.
I don't care about it at all.
I think
And you know
this
what? I
season,
really,
I think they've ruined that because nobody, you know what I mean? It's not.
really, it's especially true like in boxing when fighters start talking about retirement, like they're already retired mentally, and I think it's probably the same with most athletes. And I honestly wish Kopitar just called it quits last season. I think maybe, and like, imagine if that happened and they went out and they got like a decent center, and like they got rid of Hiller and they got like a decent coach, like how different this season would be. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, and isn't he only like 6 points away from it or something? Or is I should have checked around.
No, yeah, I think six or seven.
You
I'm not sure.
know, and it's he deserves that milestone. It's true, but it's just, and I'm sure he didn't want it to come this way.
Mm-mm.
But it is what it is, and these are just the realities of being an LA Kings fan as of March 2nd, 2026. It's like they had their little window. That was the 4 years where they played the Oilers. That was a
Hmm.
window. I mean, you could call it that, and they just Connor McDavid and Draisaitl slammed the window in their faces at the end of each of those. Now there's no window. Somebody came in, said that it was a safety hazard or something, bricked it all up.
Yeah.
Windows,
Stuck over it.
it's been declared demolished and it's now just a wall. So now they're gonna have to figure out how to open up a wall if we want to have like Kings playoff hockey be a thing again. And it's gonna take a lot of moves and stuff. It's not like, 'cause, they've depleted. They don't have the prospects that they had, and it's gonna be a slog. Like,
Yeah, it's going to be a rough next couple of seasons,
and that's
more
what,
than a
and you
couple.
know what? Everybody goes through it. The Ducks did, Sharks did. They're on the up. Kings are down. Um,
But it's just like you were saying about when you tune in, you just want. I'm with you. Like, and it's been like this the majority of the season, where you're just like, these dudes aren't going to win. They're going to blow this lead, or they're just going to play with absolutely no effort. But you want to turn on the game and be like, well, at least my team's like trying, or at least they have kind of a chance. You know. I mean, that was the Kings for a long time. I mean, I turned it on and still be like, well, these dudes are trying to win. you know.
yeah, back in the days, and when they would lose like 7-6, you still had 6 goals. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Now these guys can't score 6 goals in a week. Oh man. Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. That's just kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, you
um,
know, and I thought DJ Smith, he said like a lot of the right things at that press conference, and so maybe he can do something with this team. I mean, as far as just them not being humiliated all the time, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough task tonight, but if you don't see like a notable lift, then okay, these guys are even more cooked than I thought because
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think Hiller lost the team, you know, and and there was reason for that, and he blew it in that playoff series last year, and he blew it by not using using rolling four lines and just kind of panicking. And then when you overplay your top line guys, you gas them out, and it just builds and builds, and that's
And
how you
only playing,
that's how you led a team back in the series, right?
yeah, and only playing four pairs of defensemen, you know.
You're up 2-0, and then you just suddenly decide that Spence can't get any ice time, and it's just we've been over it. So it's just like this is stupid, and um he just seemed, I don't know, he doesn't I don't think he makes I think he's a cool guy. I don't think he makes good strategic decisions.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think like when the pressure's on, he kind of like doesn't make the right moves, I guess you can say.
Yeah, he kind of turns into like Tim Robinson when he's wearing the hot dog suit and he's trying to help everybody find who drove the hot dog car.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what Hiller turns into, you know.
Pretty much.
um, but I guess we'll know. I mean, if I suppose if they could somehow beat the Avalanche, that would probably give them,
That would be amazing.
But yeah, the odds are they'd have to just go on an amazing run or just rail off like so many regulation wins to even have a shot at it.
Hey, I
We'll be
welcome
watching.
I welcome it, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, kind of. I was thinking about it too. Is like their opening game this season was against Avalanche and they just looked terrible. And I remember thinking, even back then, like man, they look bad, you know.
Yeah, they never had it this season
And
at all.
they never really recovered from that. There was that weird, fluky road win streak. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I don't think they've been able to put like a more than three game winning streak together. Or is it
It's
five?
something like
No,
that,
I
three
think
or
it's three.
four. Well,
Yeah.
it was a combination of like some OT losses, but like it was
Mm,
more like a point streak of like where they got
yeah,
one.
that's true.
how many games. Little did we know that all they would do would be to find ways to lose in overtime, taking it to like new heights. But I mean, yeah, these are gonna be huge. Next few months, next year, like what's gonna happen? Or is Robitaille, is are the guys with the money just gonna allow these guys to stay? Basically, is the question. The guys
Yeah,
writing the check, so they're gonna be like, this is fine. Robitaille, fine. Holland, fine. Whatever. We're okay with it. And if as long as that's the case, as long as that's the case, it's not gonna change.
yeah, and it probably will be because if you think about it, if Blake would probably still be here if he chose not to just bounce. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like I don't think they're serious.
I guess that was kind of a red flag too, in a way, him just walking away. Kind of a thing of just like, yeah, you know what? I'm done with this organization. I'm tired of doing this.
Hmm.
But that's really all it's going to come down to is what is AEG? What are they going to decide to do? Are they fine
Hmm.
with this? Are they going to run and look at the books and find like, we still made, we still made the money we need out of this franchise. We're good. Or
Probably.
is somebody going to be like, you know what? Nah, we need to change. We need to have a winning culture around here in every department. So we shall see. Predictions on tonight's game, Tim?
Let's see. Let's see. 8-1. Let's see. No, I don't
You're
know.
like, well, it's
I mean, I'm sure they're going to get housed again, but I mean, I think you know what? I think we'll see a Panarin goal.
Panarin goal. I like that. I like it a lot. A bread man go. All right. Well, as always, go Kings, go.
Go Kings, go.